Hark the herald Draenor sing, glory to the Ogre King. Hey there, this is your pal Pallie, and welcome back to Overrated. This is episode number 42. And today we're going to be talking about, yes, the Imperator. We're going to talk about Highmaul, talk about first impressions, some tips, some, things for guild leaders to be using, raid leaders to be using. And then also I'd like to go through and highlight an amazing little piece of WarcraftLogs.com that I did not know existed until this past week, that I think is amazing. And did I say it's amazing? I'm pretty sure I did. So, welcome back to the show. I am trying to probably do this on a more regular basis, and going to force myself to do so by scheduling up this as a live stream. I'm going to try to do it at Saturday at 11 p.m. CST Central Time, so that's midnight Eastern, 9 o'clock Pacific. I don't know what it would be for Euro. But, anywho, just want to try to get on a regular schedule of doing it every week. So I'm going to try to go back to weekly and shorten the show a little bit. Hopefully be 20-30 minutes, that type of dealio. But yeah, trying to make it a fairly regular weekly type thing. So, cool. Come hang out. Watch my Twitter @GetARaid to know when exactly I'm doing it, although I just told you, and I'll keep announcing that. Yes, cool. Alright, so moving on to the main topics. Highmaul is out. The login boss has been defeated. We can mess with stuff. So quickly, I'll let you know what my guild has done. We went first to try to log in on Tuesday. Yep, that's what we did. Now, we did get in, finally, Tuesday night at about 1 hour left in raid. We said, what the heck, whoever can get on, let's go. And we took a look at the first few bosses on normal mode, and I will give you, some of the background as to why we chose normal mode in a minute. But anywho, we hopped into normal mode, down the first 3 bosses with little issue, maybe some execution problems, but we'll talk about that again in a second. But then we were able to head into Highmaul last night, which would have been Wednesday, and have a full raid night to take a look at the rest of the bosses. So we ended at Tectus the previous night, so we got him down, and let me pop up the footage of us hacking away at Tectus. Here he is. And then we moved on and got Twin Ogron down and Korog down after a few wipes on each, and got like one for fun pull on Imperator. Hopefully by the time this goes up, we'll have rated Imperator normal, gotten it down, and moved on to heroic modes. But anywho, so far so good, and I'm going to give you some of the history of the guild and where we are at and why we chose to do normal mode now. So the guild certainly was one of those that had Garrosh heroic on farm near the end of last tier. So we're certainly in that about 5%ish of guilds that had him down before before he got to Mythic, and it was like, what was this? But we did get him down pre what I would say nerf, so to speak, and cool. We moved into Warlords, certainly wanting to improve our position and do a little better. We added a raid night as we usually do, or as this guild is usually done. I'm certainly newer to this guild. I've been there 6 months or so. But they added Tuesday night as a raid night for the first few weeks to sort of try to get ahead and get going on progression and such. So we did add a night for a little while. We did not go so far as to sort of say, hey, we're going to raid solid for 3 weeks and just try to get it all down, world first, server first, that kind of thing. Nope. Didn't go that far. Did not go as far as adding a lot of hours, extra. And we certainly didn't go to the point where we wanted people to have an alt and have it geared, and we were going to, filter gear to the mains and do that kind of, stuff that a lot of the top guilds do. So that's where we are in general. And I guess as well, the item level of the guild stepping into this raid was about between 637 and 642. My own item level was about 640 before we stepped in here. And that meant sort of there were maybe 12 to 15 people who were regularly running challenge modes, getting in there, doing stuff. Some more than others, certainly. I managed to, Agathon actually put together a group and sort of kept it running, doing in the daily, as fun as those CMs were, and getting people a decent amount of 640 gear. There were certainly people in the guild who also bought some of the BOE epics that were dropping from the world. So I think those were 665 pieces, I believe. But anywho, they picked some of those up and got their item level up as well. And then, there were certainly quite a few people who just had heroic gear and had their legendary ring, and then, maybe got some lucky missions off of garrisons. I myself got lucky and got a 645 weapon a few days before stepping into the raid. Just yesterday, though, I did a mission and it gave me the same weapon with a socket. So now I've got to re-enchant that thing and get a gem in it. So yay, I guess it's good that it is, but I'm just like, oh dang, I gotta waste more gold on the weapon enchant. Shoot. But oh well. More gears, yay, kill stuff faster, boom, off we go. So that's sort of where the guild is at in terms of item level, experience and whatnot. And I just wanted to give that background because it sort of tells you what we were looking to accomplish and where we were stepping in here. So, cool. We decided to go for normal mode first for a couple of reasons. One being gear. Certainly, as I said, people were 640-ish, and even if you had like all 640 pieces, the gear here that you're getting in normal mode is 655. Certainly upgrades for people, and likely very much upgrades for people who may have I still have quite a few 630 pieces, and 655 is 25 item levels. That's huge. That's a lot. So, yay, give me some good loots. But as well, we did also want to sort of farm that gear and then be able to be familiar with the mechanics in a bit more forgiving environment. I feel like we ended up probably being over geared for the particular difficulty that we chose, but we did end up, downing most of these things, as I said. So gears, getting familiar with mechanics, always good things, and I think we so far have been accomplishing that, although we certainly did not accomplish that on Brackenspore. As you'll see in a second, Brackenspore was rough. Anywho, the next sort of piece here is to talk about what other guilds have done. So there are certainly a lot of guilds on our server, and we're on a very populous server, that have already stepped into heroics and they just sort of didn't bother with normal mode. And those, I would say, are sort of those top tier guilds that had Garrosh on farm for a while, have a lot of gold to spend on the black market auction house and BOE epics, all that kind of stuff. I mean, I was probably one of the top 5 geared hunters on the server, with all of my challenge mode gear and all the good stuff. But those top, 1 or 2 guys were like, before even stepping into Highmaul, were geared 657. It's like, whoa, it's a lot of stuff that they got ahead of Highmaul. So, we didn't go that far. We didn't have people who were had an item level that crazy. But those guilds, obviously, it makes sense. If you're at a 650 655 gear level, you may get a few pieces out of normal mode, and maybe those guilds go back and farm it for some trinkets or some whatever that they just still need. But this is not going to have much for them. But for us, 25 item levels from a 630 to a 655, yeah, heck yeah. Give me that. I'll take it. So, yeah. That was, our experiences here. And if you're a guild that's sort of stepping into raiding, soon, maybe you haven't started raiding or you're going to raid this weekend, take a look at your item level and go, okay, if everyone's sort of like 632, 630-ish, probably want to step into normal mode because there's going to be lots of good upgrades, and it feels like the instance is tuned around that. It feels like it's tuned around 630, 635-ish. It felt like we were powering through some stuff, and again, you'll see log-wise we did. So, yeah. So anywho, that's sort of my advice to guild leaders in terms of evaluating where you should start. Maybe you've already made that decision, but if you haven't yet, there's some helpful tips there. And again, there's many guilds who are waiting until after Christmas to start, and so if you're wondering, well, which instance should we start with which difficulty, all that kind of stuff, hopefully this helps as well. So cool. And then of course LFR will be out next week, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, here comes Tectus. He's dead. Yay! Happy cheer cheer stuff. So cool. Hopefully you enjoyed that little bit of footage. I am going to be putting up logs, or not logs, sorry. I switched to the log site so I'd be ready for the next section here. I am going to be putting out videos when we get into heroic mode that are, based off of strategy for heroic mode. I wasn't sure whether I should do it for normal. Maybe I still will, or I'll reference the heroic guide. For the most part, from what I saw of tuning, normal was just tuned lower than heroic, but had pretty much most of the mechanics from heroic. I mean, I didn't see anything where it was like, oh, that's not even here on normal. No, it's pretty well, the fight is there, in essence. It's just a bit more forgiving, so to speak. So I'll start to have live guides up as soon as we start progressing into heroic and obviously into mythic, and those guides will be spiffy and cool, and I'll try to upgrade my graphics and try to improve things as I always like to do. So look for that soon. Trademark. But yeah, next up, I'd just like to highlight something that is making me very excited. Very excited. And it's something that apparently has been there for a bit. So, sorry for my bad of not knowing that this was here. But I did shows way back that are talking about World of Logs and what you should do to analyze your stuff and how to look at that stuff as a raid leader, or even as a raider who's just looking to improve their DPS and all that other kind of stuff. At the time that I did that over Rated, probably a year plus ago, WarcraftLogs was still sort of coming up to speed and starting to be used, so I didn't give it much notice. But as I got into this guild that I'm in now, and other ones that I've sort of talked to and helped out with logs, they started using WarcraftLogs a lot more. So I dig in and learn to use it. It's not too difficult either. Pretty similar setup to World of Logs as well. But what I learned recently is there's some pretty spiffy tools in there for analyzing fights and analyzing what killed you, how you handle mechanics. So, without further ado, let's hop over to WarcraftLogs.com and take a look at this. So, this is our Brackenspore kill from that first raid night. And as always, Warcraft Logs gives you an immense amount of information in terms of damage done, healing done, how much damage you took and by what, etc., etc. All the sort of standard stuff that has come with logging sites so far. But what really got me going and why I'm so pumped is this fight analysis button here. This actually breaks down for you how you handle many of the mechanics in a fight. And let me say first, they have to tailor each of these for the fights. So many of these, like as of December 4th or beginning of December, many of these things may not be perfect yet. So give them some time to get some data, work through the fights, etc., etc. But many of the fights are so far set up, as you can see from this Brackenspore one. But even by default, what you're going to get are things like, do people double pot? How many people use 2 potions? Yay, Agathon. Yay, me. But anyway, and you can see that some healers didn't use, fine, whatever. But you can also see things like, it sort of points out, this was a slow death. We didn't see any direct big healing happening while this person was dying. Take a look at this. Is this something where they were standing in something, they were too far away from healers, etc., etc.? This is just calls out, this death was something you might want to take a look at. So, you can click on these things and go further in depth and take a look and say, okay, at about the 4-second mark, necrotic breath got placed on the tank. Well, as you can read from the tooltip there, it's pretty nasty. Does some damage and reduces their healing taken by 99%. As you can see before this, they're getting healed for 15k, etc., etc. Boom, after this, they're getting healed for 21, 43. It's not much health when your tank has like 300, 400k health. So, yeah, you can see the breath continues. They're taking damage from some things. And then finally, a melee hit killed them. So there's sort of 2 things to look at this particular death. You can go, necrotic breath hurt them. Yes. That's supposed to signal a tank swap. Well, he actually died from a melee hit. So there wasn't a quick enough tank swap that the other tank got that melee hit. So probably a little bit on the tanks there to switch, and make sure that the breath debuff isn't going to kill them by, whatever. But the other piece to look for is what actual healing did they receive, and that's why it says it's slow death. So there are certainly things like Earth Shield and Healing Rains and Eternal Flame, sort of hots and just life blooms, that kind of thing. But you can also see where healers started to, or at least this healer in particular, started to panic and go, oh, this tank is dying, I can't seem to be healing them. Flash of light, let me spend some expensive heals on them. This is unfortunately very ineffective, 217. But you can see this healer in particular was paying attention and going, oh, a flash of light here. I believe there's another one up here. Yeah, right here. This is not good. Healers trying to get them back up. Other healers, certainly there's other heals coming in, a Rejuve, the Eternal Flames and other things that were already running. But you could see that this healer in particular took an interest and tried to directly heal them. Unfortunately, it was ineffective because of the debuff, but again, you can work through, are your healers paying attention to the tank and trying to directly heal them, or are they relying more on AoE and passive hots and all that kind of stuff? So, cool stuff. That's, a lot of that is mainly in for a normal tool that does, death logs, so to speak. But, anywho, wanted to point that out. And it does, this fight analysis tool calls out deaths that could be suspicious, so to speak. But what's really cool, and the really meat of this, is it goes through the mechanics of the fight and shows you how you handle them as a raid. So, right here, Infesting Spores. On Brackenspore, he'll put this out on the raid, it looks like every minute or so, and it's just a ticking dot that gets stronger and stronger, and then, expires. And it's on everyone in the raid, and it does a crap ton of damage. You can see, it did 5 million here, 6 million here, 7 million way down here. Ooh, that hurts. And this sort of shows how your raid handled it during that time period. So it shows, here's the actual raw amount of healing that the raid put out to try to handle it. Living spores is something we'll get into in a moment. How much of that healing was over? Who used a health stone or a health potion? What external cooldowns might have been used? And this includes things like Hand of Sacrifice, but also includes raid cooldowns like Devotion Aura. Rallying Cry would show up here. Certainly shows like Amplify Magic, those types of things. Cool stuff. It shows what raid cooldowns your healers used, how they used them, and made sure that things were covered. It also shows, if people are paying attention and trying to help you out damage-wise, what personal cooldowns were used. Shield block. Some of this is tank stuff, but, someone used Survival Instincts as a feral druid. We didn't have a tank druid here as a feral kitty druid, and they used their Survival Instincts during this high time of damage. Here's a hunter, maybe it was me, using deterrence. And you can click on each one of these and see who used what, but it just shows, if you said during one of these damage phases, hey, everyone pop a personal cooldown, you should see this list just completely full of things. If you don't, then people are not listening. So again, very cool analysis and very cool stuff that you can see based off of this tool. So, I skipped over this living spore column, and let me, highlight it as another cool piece of this tool. So living spores has to do with, there are living mushrooms. There are mushrooms that pop up during this fight, and if your healers heal them to full, they start radiating heals, or there's a blue mushroom that comes up that radiates a bunch of mana and basically a mini bloodlust, or it is a bloodlust. It's 30% haste for a certain amount of time. So if you did heal them, then you may be getting heals, which are the living spores, and boom, it shows up that during this first infesting spores, we had a mushroom up. It healed us for 2 million health. Cool. Not sure how much of it was overhealing or whatever, but yay, we handled this particular one right. On the second one, we didn't seem to have one. Third one we did. Fourth one we did. We didn't have one for the rest. So, something to note. Now, if you wanted to dig further and say, well, where were those mushrooms and how many did we heal? Oh, look, we scroll on down to living mushrooms. Ah, right, there it is. So it's saying there were 8 total living mushrooms that popped out. This first one got healed. It got healed to full after 17 seconds of spawning. And you can actually see who in particular, well, you will here in a moment as it loads. You can see who in particular did the healing. Alright, and what did they do? They did, here's Channing Totem. Awesome name, by the way. Did some healing surges, healing tides. Boom. Totem Toka did. Manda, Treehots. They all, contributed to healing the mushroom specifically. And they did it within 17 seconds of it spawning. Cool. And then it'll show, who actually got healed by the mushroom, so that shows you who actually stood in the mushroom and received those heals. So again, you can say, hey, look, there was only like 2 people that got hit by the mushroom. Heal. Guys, that's a lot of healing. Let's stand in it. But then obviously it tells you where you failed, where you never actually healed the mushroom. And we missed it on the second one, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th one. Whoops. Now, maybe some of these mushrooms spawned way away, and we didn't bring a boss over there, so again, some stuff that we can work on mechanic-wise. WarcraftLogs also provides a tool, let me scroll up here, called the Replay, that shows you where things spawns and what things spawned and how long things took to die. So you can actually see, was that second mushroom just ridiculously far away? Was there no chance of getting it? Maybe. We'll see. But the other thing to point out is that that blue mushroom that I was mentioning that had that mini bloodlust, we never healed them to full. We totally failed at the blue mushrooms. Don't fail at the blue mushrooms. They're good. The healers get a ton of mana back. It's a haste buff. It's bloodlust. So you stand in it, you pew pew. That's good stuff. So, whoops, need to handle that better next time. So, anywho, there are a lot of things and a lot of pieces where it's saying you have issues, you didn't handle this well, but it also will say, hey, look, you handled fungal flesh eaters, the big ads that come out. They come out every 2 minutes. Did you kill it before the next one came out? Good deal. How many interrupts of the decay did you get done? Who did the interrupts? This is a massive list of, they got this interrupt, and this person got this one, and this, and et cetera, on and on and on. And yay, you get to see who's doing the interrupts and how many you did and how many casts of decay got off. Just all that great stuff that tells you that you either handled this well or you didn't. Maybe for some other guild, they didn't have problems healing up the mushrooms, but they weren't paying as much attention to this ad, and they're like, why are we dying so much? We're doing good in the mushrooms. Well, maybe they let through every decay cast, which decay hits pretty hard. 100k nature damage. That's a lot. That's a lot. So, anywho, I'm just like so excited about this tool. I'm so excited about the fight analysis tool. It's just like, why have I never seen this before? So, I obviously want to talk here and wave my hands around and pass it all on to you guys, because it's really helpful. It's really freaking helpful. So, anywho, going back to just me, take a look at WarcraftLogs if you haven't already. Awesome tool. A lot of other things in there, a lot of goodies, a lot of easy ways to come up with filters and decide, what happened in fights. A lot of ways to help you. So, awesome stuff. I will put the Twitter handle of the person to follow who's the creator of WarcraftLogs. They're pretty interesting. I sort of gave them a tip or two on the flamethrowers when they were in beta, and hopefully that helped them. I don't know if it did. Who knows? I'm not that big of a deal. But yeah, WarcraftLogs, cool stuff. Check it out. So that'll do it for today's Overrated. As I said, I'm going to try to start live streaming these. Probably not this upcoming Saturday. I'll put this episode out and then say, the next Saturday at 11 p.m. Central. Yes, be there. Twitch.tv/GetterRaid. Again, in the notes and such. And we'll live stream it. We'll have some fun. It'll probably be sort of a shorter 20-30 minute type show. Just talking about a subject like I would normally here. And then, of course, I'll upload it to YouTube and the other places that I usually distribute it. Cool. Anywho, thanks for watching, guys. Really humbled by the last week. Just my subscribership has gone up like 50%, and a lot of hits, a lot of comments on videos, on the raid guides, obviously, because people are, hyped for Highmaul. So appreciate that. Hope you new subscribers are watching this, and you're going to stick around and see what else we produce. Really going to try to up the quality of the guides for Highmaul and Blackrock Foundry when they're the actual live fights. Try to do some better cool graphic stuff and all that kind of jazz. Just think we're pretty solid on strategy and knowing what's going on. Just pick it up the quality just a little bit. We'll make some steps. So again, appreciate the comments, appreciate subscribers and all the hits and all the views, and especially shout outs to some of the guilds that have supported just using the guides for their raid teams. Even just guilds that I haven't even heard of are like, oh yeah, we used the Getter Raid guide. He had this stuff sort of figured out for us. And I mean, they used other guides too, but it was like, I'm part of that too. So it's like really humbling and cool, and yay. Big thumbs up. So anywho, it's the rambling time, and that usually means it's time for me to sign off. So, thanks for watching, guys. It's been Overrated number 42, talking about Highmaul First Impressions and WarcraftLogs awesomeness. Thanks, guys, for watching. Have a good one.